Welcome to the Waseca Small Town Big Stories podcast, sponsored by Bird's Eye Foods and Itron. I'm your host, Ann Fitch, the Executive Director of the Waseca Area Chamber of Commerce, where we promote business and enhance community. Today, I'm joined at the Suburban Furniture table by Jodie Thompson of Edina Realty. Welcome, Jodie.
Thanks, Ann.
I'm glad you could be here today.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that you invited me.
I know. I thought, earlier your phone went off. I thought maybe you were going to go and close a house real quick.
You know, that happens from time to time. Duty calls, you got to go.
I know. Realtors are so busy these days. Holy cow.
Yes, it's been, last few years have been just a crazy market. It's been really fun, exciting, but there's a lot of moving pieces in that too.
Absolutely. I feel like the last 3 years, like you said, have just been nuts. And even in 2020, when COVID hit, you thought, oh, everybody's going to be standing still. Holy crap, what is it? The opposite.
No, the market was just insane that year. And then even in 21, usually, we're getting into that fall market. So you kind of things start to slow down a little bit. December and January are usually the months that have the least amount of sales. But in 21, it was flat. Actually, the month that we had the least amount of sales was May.
Really? That's kind of always a hot month for moving. People
is.
get the itch to get out.
Right. Depending on, I kind of talked about the average curve. If we have a really long winter, then it kind of pushes back into your more April, May, June. But if spring comes early, then things, really, if you're thinking about putting the house on the market in the spring, you really got to start working like February, March-ish to be ready.
Yeah.
So
are you still seeing those quick sales? Not quite like it was in 2021. Those were ridiculous, where things were on the market for hours or even weren't even hitting the market. It was just word of mouth. But are you still seeing those quick sales?
So the average market time is about 10 to 14 days.
That's still really quick.
That's really good. Right now there's 18 houses for sale. Of those 18, one already has an accepted offer. But then when you look into the pending, they already have an accepted offer. Mm-hmm. There's 18 there as well.
Oh my gosh.
So when you think of that, a house, once you have an offer, you're closing within, 30, 45 days. You really only have about a month and a half worth of inventory.
Holy cow. That's not a lot.
No, that's not a lot.
It seems like when you look at either Realtor.com or Zillow or Trulia. Yeah. I was thinking
they're owned by the same company.
They are?
Zillow and Trulia are owned by the same company.
Interesting.
I know.
Oh, all these secrets of real estate. It seems like there's hardly any houses that aren't pending.
Right.
Everything's in process in the Waseca area.
Right. And unfortunately, those that you're seeing on the market that are sitting a little bit, well, there's something. It's maybe the location. It's maybe, it's maybe a little dated, or maybe there needs to be maybe a little bit of a price correction.
Sure. What do people need to do to get their house ready for the market? Because you can't just, I'm putting my house up and you don't do anything, because nowadays people want to not necessarily completely move in ready. Right. There's expected that some projects need to be done, but what are some of the key things that people should do to their house to get it ready?
So, you're kind of your first impression. Your front door, always have like a nice mat out front, maybe put some flowers out if it's in the spring, that walk up curb appeal. Mm-hmm. Front doors, weird, painted if it's faded, you're walking into a house, you want it to look nice. Clean. If it can be clean, that's really, really helpful. And again, I know that everybody's version of clean is way different. I can walk into one lady's house and she's like, I'm so sorry, it's such a mess. And I'm like, no, I need a cracker off your floor. Like, I have 3 kids, so that has happened in the past.
Sure.
But then there's the other side of it where it's like, I've been really clean, and I'm like, good job. Keep up the good work.
You're almost there.
Yeah. And let me know. But, again, I try to work with people. Like if they need to do some of that stuff, well, you need a cleaning lady, let me know. I have some people. Right. If you need to do, maybe there's a little bit of electrical work or some handyman stuff, let me know. I'm here to help. My job isn't just showing houses. It's getting you through the entire process, because if the goal is to buy or sell, you need someone that can go that extra mile to get you through the entire process, because it can be very long and daunting.
Absolutely, because selling a house it's not easy, and that's why there are realtors.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, well, again, is the person pre-approved? Huge, important. If they're not pre-approved, why am I going to take you out? I don't know what you're qualified for. You don't know what you're qualified for. Though that payment might not be realistic for you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then what type of financing is that buyer have? There are different types of loans. Some loans have a little bit easier requirements, and then some of those other government loans, you have to have GFCI outlets behind or on the countertops and behind the wash machines.
Are those the ones with the little pushy buttons in there?
Yeah, the pushy buttons.
Yeah, that's layman's terms. GFCI, is that?
GFCI, yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm very much in the know now. I thought they're just the pushy buttons.
Right. You know, your hot water heater has to have the extension pipe within 12 inches off the ground. Because if it were to burst, you don't want it going in your face. You want it to hit your feet, you know? So there's like those safety issues that certain types of loans you have to qualify for, basically. And so part of my job is to walk the seller through that. It's like, okay, you might need to do this. You might need to do this. You might need to do this. So that when the appraisal comes back, they're not, well, I didn't know I had to. I try to help prepare and educate.
That's very helpful, because if somebody bought their house in the mid 80s or even mid 90s, those regulations may not have existed back then. And
right.
I mean, if you bought a house, I'm not keeping up on those things because I don't need to.
Right.
So I wouldn't know. So it's very helpful to have a realtor versus going on your own. Yeah, it might be nice to not pay that commission to someone, but that commission is very much worth it to save yourself the time and headache that you're going to run into by not knowing those things.
Right. Well, yeah. And I don't know if you've ever shown your own house, which it's a little awkward.
Well, I would think because you don't want to tell the bad things about your house, or maybe you don't see what someone else sees as a high point as well either.
Right.
Because you never maybe saw that as a high point, but someone else might really fall in love with your breakfast nook, but this is just where you stack your mail.
Right. Right. And you have to be careful, because sometimes you're like, everybody has their own opinions and everything, and I don't want to sometimes say too much, because what you might like, that buyer might love.
Mm-hmm.
And, everybody just has their different things of what's important to them in a house. And you never want to say, oh my God, would you ever buy that house? And they're like, I love it. So you just try to just be helpful and walk them through the process.
Oh, absolutely. I watch The Ugliest Houses in America on Home and Garden. And I'm like, whoa, this is not ugly. Why are we taking this out? This is great. So some of the stuff that is hideous to one person might be just a great thing to another person.
Right.
So that's another reason you don't want to show your own house.
Yeah.
You don't know how to say that this is great.
Right.
So how long have you been doing this, Jodie?
I've been in real estate for 12 and a half years.
12 and a half years already? Holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
Sheesh.
Yep. So when I started, it was in 2011, and that was just after the crash. And so there was a ton of foreclosures and a ton of short sales. And it took a long time to get to the place where I'm at now. There was a Edina agent out of Northfield where he had 60 foreclosures.
Wow.
And now, I mean, again, that's Northfield, so that's a little bit different. And he did go expand his area probably about a half hour all the way around. But I think in Waseca now, we maybe get 1 or 2 foreclosures a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so the market was just a lot different. The people weren't buying, the sellers were underwater because they bought a few years before, and now their values had, decreased. And so it was really, really challenging. It took a lot of hard work. I didn't have a sale my first year.
How did you do that? Like how
not giving up?
Right. Oh my gosh, not having a sale your first year. That had to be,
yeah, really.
A little demoralizing.
Yeah.
Way to go on sticking to it, Jodie, because not having a sale the first 2 months, I would have been like, I'm done with everything.
Yeah. So, and again, I think one thing, like somebody, if they were just to start out today, that would be different.
Yeah.
And that would be different for multiple reasons. When I started, I had 3 young children. I came, nobody knew me as Jodie Thompson. I went to college, got married, and we came back to Waseca in 2006. And so,
because Jodie, you are from Waseca.
yeah.
Yeah, you graduated in 1997
Yeah.
as Jodie Priebe.
As Jodie Priebe.
Yep.
And so coming back with 3 young kids, now Jodie Thompson, nobody really knew who that was. And if they heard Jodie Thompson, they thought it was the other Jodie Thompson in town.
Larry Thompson from Round Bank, formerly Round Bank's wife, I'm sure.
Yes.
And they went, when did Larry's wife get into real estate?
Right, which is actually Isaac's uncle.
So your husband's uncle's wife is the OG Jodie Thompson in town, but they've since moved. So now you're the last Jodie Thompson standing.
I am the last Jodie Thompson standing, yes. So one of the things that I did to kind of start getting out there a little bit more, I want to be involved in the kids' life. Clearly.
Yeah. Oh, thank goodness. As their mother, I'm so glad you decided to be involved in your children's lives, Jodie.
I love you all very, very much.
Equally,
right? No, but I got involved in church and their sports and their schools, and so when you're doing that and you're showing up, you're working hard, you're doing all those things. Well, what are the things that you want in a realtor? You want somebody to work hard. You want somebody to care about it. You want them to show up, do what they say that they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it took some time for people then say, oh, well, yeah, she does this and this and this well. I think she might be able to help me buy a house well. I might be able to help me sell my house. And then the other thing that made it challenging, we don't have them, I was sending out postcards. I still send out postcards, but there was not the online presence that there is here today.
Correct.
Like I drove to Burnsville to take classes. Now everybody just takes their standard CE classes online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get those continuing ed classes right at home. You don't have to drive anywhere.
Right. So, there's been some changes through the years with that kind of thing. So,
you're completely right, though. Waseca kind of makes you work for it. Like you need to invest your time into the community, and then people will say, "All right, I'll give you a chance now."
Right. Well, and there were some really strong realtors, that
absolutely,
that had years and years of experience. And this young lady, give her a shot when I know that, this person has sold my parents' house, my kids' house, my so it's kind of it was difficult, but I'm really, really glad I stuck it out, and I'm still doing it. I'm doing it well.
It is. Realtors, and I can't speak to this in other communities, but realtors in Waseca seem to be a service that is generational in Waseca. If your parents bought a house or sold the house through someone, that's who their kids use. And if that realtor's around long enough, that's who their grandkids use, because that's who everyone in that family trusts. And so in 20 years, Jodie, there's going to be third generations who are using you, and there's going to be new realtors on the scene who are like, I wish Jodie Thompson would frickin' retire because I need to make way for myself. You're going to be one of those realtors that you were looking at 12 years ago going, oh, are they going to retire soon?
Right.
Yeah, because that's what you're doing now. You've built a business for yourself, and you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
And so where were you before real estate?
So before real estate, I was over in Mankato at the Occasions Group, and I was a project manager there. And I think that has really helped me in my job. I could back up a little bit farther. I graduated with a communications degree and a minor in management. So real estate pretty fits me perfectly.
Yes.
Because once you get into after the marketing, once you have a signed offer, there's a lot of project managing that has to happen. Following up with a lender, following up with the title company, making sure that all those inspections and appraisals come together. So project management is a huge portion of that getting to the sold. So my work at the occasions group, I definitely think helps me to get where I am now.
Absolutely. You are managing so many moving parts up until the point of closing.
Yeah.
There's so many things to manage. It's not just, oh, you show the house one time and, oh, do you like it? Okay, great. Sign here. It's so much more than that.
It's a little bit, it's not as glamorous as people, you watch all those, HGTV shows and, Selling Las Vegas or whatever. It's a little bit more than just that. I mean, I'm a glorified cleaner some days. I'm a glorified handyman.
Mm-hmm.
I've painted. I've hauled dog waste away.
Wow.
Just...
I don't see that on Selling Sunset.
No.
On HGTV at all.
No.
There's less glamour and less drama, it seems, in the Waseca real estate market, is what I'm hearing.
Well, less drama, but I think the same amount of stress.
I bet it is. How do the real estate agents work together in Waseca?
I would have never known this before I got into the industry, but you have to. So, and even within my own, company, we're all independent people. So even Edina agents, we're all in it to make it for ourselves. Obviously, the more red signs, the better.
Right.
Hopefully that most of them are mine or all of them are mine, but
Wow, Jodie. Holy cow. She's very competitive. I didn't see that in Jodie when I went to high school with her.
Well, yeah, I know. But we have to work together.
You do. Yes.
You really have to work together because I might have a listing and he brings in the buyer. Well, we have to get along.
Yes.
There's not a lot of other industries that I know of that you have to be friendly and get along with your competition.
Absolutely. And it seems like everybody has a good working relationship, and there's not any realtor animosity or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
We all get along for the most part.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I think it works. It makes for a better experience for the buyers and the sellers.
That's right. Because at the end of the day, getting them into the house or of the house, that's the goal.
When a first-time home buyer comes to you, what's the first thing you tell them to do?
If they haven't gotten pre-approved, get pre-approved.
Okay.
Again, I don't want to take them out looking at houses and then they fall in love with one that they can't afford.
Yeah, that's got to be disappointing.
And the other thing, I want to know what type of loan that they're qualified for. If they need that government loan, which they're great programs, as their realtor, I need to be looking for those safety things.
Absolutely. Is the USDA loan used much in Waseca?
Mm-hmm.
Good. That's a great program where it's 0% down. You do pay
PMI.
the PMI equivalent to a USDA loan. I think for the life of the loan, is it?
I think so.
Yeah. It's a little bit lower than a typical PMI though. That's a great program that's available to every home in the city of Waseca within a certain income level, I think.
Right. There are income-based levels on that.
Yeah, but they're pretty reasonable income-based levels, and I think the home price is up to a jumbo loan. I think is up to a $400,000 loan.
I think so too.
Yeah, that's a spectacular program for our community.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And right now, your FHA, rural development, and VA buyers, those loans that are being processed, at least 50 of them are those types of loans.
Okay.
So that's something else that's kind of shifted in the market the last 2 years when houses were flying off the market. Mm-hmm. The majority of those buyers were your cash or conventional buyers. So they're gone. Now those other government type loan buyers, they are in the market now because they don't have that other competition like they used to.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Are you, pardon me, do you just sell the lots or do you get into the new construction sale as well? Or how does a realtor fit into that area?
So I can help somebody buy pretty much anything in the state of Minnesota. That's what my license is for. I like to do the single families the most. I have helped people buy some new construction. I've helped people buy lots.
Okay.
But the majority of it is just the single family homes.
The only thing you're not involved in is the actual construction part.
Correct.
That would just be between the buyer and the bank.
Well, okay, so it depends. It depends. There are some houses that are for sale that are, to be builds in the southeast part of town.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what stage that build is at, that buyer could go in and specify, I want this carpet, I want this paint, I want this backsplash.
Oh, okay.
So when that's the case, if it's something like that, then I'm definitely involved in it. But if somebody says, I want to buy a lot and I'm going to build my house, then I just help them with the lot. So it depends on the situation.
Got it. And you and your husband, Isaac, you team up to a point.
To a point.
To a point. Talk about that partnership.
So it is, Isaac has another full-time job. He has his own kind of career, but he does have his real estate license.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that he does have it because, sorry.
You're so important, Jodie. Oh my gosh.
So it's really nice that he has his license for a couple reasons. First, like if I have multiple houses for sale, we can go out and do open houses all Saturday. That means Sunday we're not working.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and then, he understands the lingo. So it's we can go back and forth and it's not, he understands where, because it can be kind of complicated with different, the lingo and everything.
Yeah, he just understands your professional life.
Right.
So you're not talking about things and he's just kind of glossed over like, yeah, no, whatever, Jodie.
Right. Yeah, no, he's definitely part of it. And while he might not be out there actively listing and helping people buy, he's definitely there for me in different ways. The other thing that I have to say is that, he's very understanding because it was difficult in the beginning. The kids were very young. I was, hey, honey, I got to go. I have to go show a house. Hey, I got to go. Can you do dinner for me? Can you take care of the kids? The kids have to be here. It's hard for me to plan something. I don't know when my phone is going to ring, and I'm beyond blessed. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great problem to have. It's a fantastic problem to have. And he's been wonderful and supportive, allowing me to do this. And and yeah, I don't think I would be here today without him by my side.
Yeah, that has been echoed through so many of these podcasts, that having a good partner beside you, behind you, with you, whether it's a spouse, a friend, family, business owners, successful people and leaders, they do not do it on their own.
Right.
And everyone who's come to this table has attributed their friends, family, and village to their success. And I think that is just so important to remember, that we see successful people in our community and nobody does it alone.
Right.
There's not one person who does it alone. And so to have that kind of support at home and in the community is just tremendous.
Right. And there are days where I come home and it's been a hard day, Mom just passed away. The kids are grieving and I have to help them through that. And I'm sorry, I get emotional when we talk about that kind of stuff because, it happens.
Yep.
And so that it's just nice having that support system when you go through those hard days.
Mm-hmm. And Isaac's a good guy for that.
Yeah, he is.
He's also a bit of a goofball, which I enjoy about him.
Yep. He is a goofball.
Yep. I've enjoyed my time sitting at the Chamber County Fair booth with you two. You two always seem to come on Saturday before you go to the beer garden, or Friday or Saturday night, which is always fun to sit with the Thompsons before you guys head over there. And you two are just so much fun to sit at the fair booth with.
Well, that's another thing. You got to be out there. You got to do your part. And I do specifically pick that time because that's when people are out walking around.
Yes.
And so
I love it. And you guys have some of the best swag. They have great can koozies. Everybody say, ooh, good, the skinny can koozies. So they can fit their seltzers in there. Yep. And people are like, ooh, when's the Edina Realty swag coming out?
So we were I don't know if you saw us, but Isaac and I were out at the pumpkin party this weekend.
I did. You guys are always out at the events.
So that was a lot of fun. And I had some secret stash stuff that only, and one lady came back and she goes, I remember you here from last year. You gave me the can coolies. And I have to come see you again.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay. So I went and got them.
Jodie, you always have your finger on the pulse of the hot swag.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go to swag conventions to see what's going on? What the new stuff is?
Yep. We handed out beach balls and we have fly swatters now too, which I'm going to get more for the fair.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait for the fly swatters at the fair. Every vendor at the fair comes to our booth to find out if we have fly swatters.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're going to have fly swatters.
All right. Every fair vendor, take note, there will be fly swatters at the chamber booth when Edina Realty shows up.
Do you think I should get some more of the skinny can coolies?
Yeah,
too?
definitely the skinny can koozies.
Okay.
And if you have any ones that fit the double deuces or the pounders.
Ooh.
I don't know if I could say pounders in a more Minnesota accent because everybody loves their pounders.
Right.
Because somebody did ask for those. Hey, were these fit pounders?
They did.
They did. I don't know. They're pretty stretchy. You have to see if they'll fit your
Do you remember
your
the
pounders.
flashlights?
Oh, the flashlights. So if it came to the fair booth at the county fair this last year, Edina Realty gave out flashlights. And this is how everyone picked up the flashlights. Sorry for those of you who are listening on Apple Podcasts. They picked them up, they held them up to their face and turned them on and went, oh, well, it's a flashlight. Yeah, it's going to shine right in your face.
And it was the LED, so it was like
Yep, it was
super
incredibly bright. They do work very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I have one in my car, and it's just wonderful.
Good.
Thank you for that flashlight.
Okay, not a problem.
Yeah, you and Isaac make just a great presence wherever you go, and I think you guys are a great team. And I do like how he is a support
Yes.
for you,
Mm-hmm.
and that he allows you to take center stage and do what you do, and he steps in when you need him.
Yeah. And is there a day that he might become more of an active role? Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, he had kind of thought maybe I want to take more of an active role, and you two had talked to me about that, and then he said maybe I don't, maybe not, maybe I'll just let Jodie do what Jodie does. Do your kids watch what you do and have any interest in real estate?
they definitely see what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they have any interest in it. And they do get pulled in from time to time.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make them do?
Oh, now that the boys are seniors and 6'2", they help me. They get to help move sometimes.
Sure. Yeah. What's the point of having strong young men in the family if they can't move a little furniture?
Right.
Clean a ceiling fan.
Right. Oh, yeah. The other thing about Isaac, if I can just say this, he really likes it when I volunteer him for things. Just like the boys like it when I volunteer them for things.
I think that most family members enjoy being voluntold.
Mm-hmm.
It grows a family closer together,
It really does.
especially on like an early Saturday morning when they're anticipating sleeping in, and you say, "No, get up, we're going to the pumpkin party."
Right. Or,
Yeah.
Or being in the we just had the fair, or not the
The
fair.
classic.
The classic. Yeah.
Yes.
The boys are super pumped.
Well, they could have been in band,
They could have been in band.
so you're in the parade one way or another, kids.
Mm-hmm. But they were good sports. They wore their T-shirts that we had made for them, and so
Good for them.
yeah.
Good for them. It's just a little more push to go to college, I guess. and so they'll
to college.
and so they'll get voluntold less.
Right.
Yep. Look into your post-secondary options, boys.
That's right. That's right. We have to start doing that. It's going to be here before you know it.
I know, because this will be your last one's going to college. The twins are your last.
Yes, the twins are the last.
Because you have 3 or 4 children.
3.
3, okay.
So Madison was 2.5 when the twins were born. And we don't call them the twins, we call them the brothers.
The brothers, okay.
Yeah. And it was just because it'd be like, Madison, what are your brothers doing? What are your brothers doing? Can you go check on your brothers? I didn't want to call them the twins because there's a little bit more of a stigma, and it's like,
Sure.
they're all their children. So
Yep,
what are your
absolutely.
brothers doing? So maybe gave her a little bit of empowerment. I don't know.
We hope. So you left Waseca for a little bit, right? After graduation in college. And what's it like been coming back to Waseca? Because I feel like, especially for women, when they come back with a different last name, it's just a little bit different.
It is a little bit different. And again, remind you, when I came home, so the boys were born on Tuesday. We bought back up just a little bit. We bought our house, my grandmother's house, on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, the boys were born. Friday, the boys and I were out of the hospital and drove down to our very first night in Waseca.
Oh, wow.
So
It was like a whole big change for you.
it was a whole big change. So then I was at home with the 3 kids, and we live south of town, just east of Otisco.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, Isaac was still driving to downtown Minneapolis for work. So he was leaving at, 5:30 in the morning, not getting home on 6 o'clock at night. And I'm in the country with 3 little ones, 3 under 3. So imagine, not getting out a lot, really changing. My in-laws were wonderful. They're in Austin, so they came up and saw me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Dad and Monica came over and saw me a lot and really helped out. So again, good support from the families during that time. And it took a while. It wasn't really until, again, because you're pretty tied down when you have 3 little ones. So it really wasn't until they got to be in school and starting Sunday school and that sort of thing, where it was really a good opportunity to start getting out and meeting. And by that point, everybody's lives, the people that are still here, were here, everybody has changed in 15 years, 20 years. So it's not
you hope they changed since high school.
Right. So it's kind of, it was a little bit challenging, but you figure your way out through it. And now we have a great support system here with friends and everything too.
That's fantastic. There's a saying, once a Blue Jay, always a Blue Jay.
That's right.
That's right. Exactly. Your kids going to Waseca High School and graduating soon. You and Isaac have been involved in Blue Jay sports throughout your kids' career. What does it feel like to be back? Going through that, and you're back at your high school, and just kind of, does it feel like you never left, but almost a whole different world?
So it's really fun to go back and see some of your teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mrs. Schlichty, I saw her in the store not too long ago. She came up and gave me a big hug. And
that's
awesome.
Awesome.
That's cool. So it's there's a lot of that. Again, once a Blue Jay, always a Blue Jay.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be a fun experience. But yeah, it is. It's fun to run into your old teachers, and I'm sure it's fun for them to see how their old students have evolved and grown and giving back to the community. And
one of the obviously, I wasn't in football, and I didn't play basketball my senior year, but I was involved with the music a little bit more.
Yes, you were.
And so watching like the variety show, and it's like, I remember being in variety show. I remember my senior solo, and now they're going to be up there doing that. And
what was your senior solo?
I don't remember.
Jodie, come on. That was like the most important day of your life, right? Right? Because you were in State Street Singers. Were you in quartets too?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, you were big time. Because back then it was quartets.
Right.
And now it's sextets.
Yeah, sextets. And the boys are in sextets.
Oh my, Jodie, your heart must just burst.
Yeah, a little bit.
I bet it does. That's so cool.
Last Christmas, this is super fun. We usually always do a song around Christmas with my dad, because he likes to sing as well. And in the past, it would be like, okay, boys, we're going to practice. And they'd be like, ah.
I can't imagine a teenage boy reacting like that to a family sing-along.
Right. And so I'd sit down with them and we'd go through their parts and everything. And I'm like, okay, boys, we're going to do this. They're like, okay. I'm like, hey, here's the music. Like, we'll just listen to it once and we'll go through parts. And it was amazing. I'm like they're singing their part. Like, this is so cool. And this is where I get a little nerdy about it. But yeah, so Madison sang soprano, I sang alto, my dad sang tenor, and the boys sang bass. Super cool.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So you got your musical ability from Charlie, your dad, Charlie Preeb.
Yeah.
Was your mom a singer?
Yeah. I don't think not as much as dad was.
Not as much as your dad. Okay.
Yeah.
So definitely trickled down through Charlie.
Yeah.
Do the boys have their senior solos picked out?
I don't know. I don't think so. No, they don't know what they're doing tomorrow. Most,
Well, you'll have that.
Where do you want to go to school? I don't know. I'm like, well, how about this? So, I mean, there's a little leading that needs to happen, but I think we'll get there.
They've got time. It's
maybe
October.
Maybe they'll do a duet.
Ooh.
Right?
Well, now I've got to get tickets to the variety show. When is the music store open? I got to get in line today. Sheesh. We should talk more about real estate or something.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's why we're here. Talk about real estate. So what do you foresee for the market? What do you foresee for the market? It was a buyer's market for a year and a half, 2 years. Where do you see it going, Jodie?
So, I'll give you a kind of current market status of Waseca. Right now, there's 18 houses for sale in Waseca. One of those 18 have an accepted offer contingent on the sale of the other house. So there's only 18 houses. So really, there's only 17 houses for sale.
Oh my gosh.
There's 18 houses that are pending. So, I mean, there's really not much of a market. I mean, there's not a whole lot of houses for sale right now. It is more than 18 houses is for sale is more than we had probably a year ago and 2 years ago for sure. But I don't think we're going to get into the recession like we did back in 2008. I don't think we're going to have a market crash because we don't have that inventory.
Mm-hmm.
There is not 40 houses for sale. There's only 18. And life continues to happen. People are still having babies. People are still getting married. They're passing away.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting divorced. Life continues to happen.
Right.
So as long as we don't have that crazy amount of inventory, we're still going to be fine. Even though things have slowed a little bit, when you're at a 6-week, market time, that's still very much a seller's market. I mean, back in 2011, the houses were on the market for 6-9 months, a year.
Wow.
So if your house hasn't sold in 2 weeks, I know that's a lot different than it was 2 years ago, but it's still, we just got to do a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Kind of getting back to more of the traditional marketing that we had to do a few years ago.
Okay. Would it be nice to get some newer builds to maybe move some more senior homeowners out of their homes to flip that housing stock?
Mm-hmm. That would definitely be helpful.
Yeah.
There's some slab on grades. That's kind of the new thing.
Yeah.
That, you get out of the house that has your stairs. You want everything on the one level.
Mm-hmm.
Slab on grade is what that's called.
Okay. So no basement.
No basement.
Would there be even like a quarter story above or a half story above?
I mean, you could, but not
necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Just everything on one floor.
Everything on one level. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're starting to see some of that, and I think people are kind of nervous about not having a basement just because of the tornado threat. But you can do your laundry room with extra,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's called, like tornado safe, like
Sure.
a bunker or something.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them do it, some of them don't. So it just depends on, what you're comfortable
But you
with.
could have some type of storm safe room in your slab on grade home to protect yourself.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I think it's a difficult decision for senior citizens to move out of the home they've been in for maybe 60 years.
Right.
To move into a house that doesn't have those memories in it.
Right.
And even though it's less maintenance and less care, but to move out of that house to flip it for a first-time home buyer, and to move that housing stock.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big decision, but it would be nice to have those slab on grade homes
Right.
to kind of move the housing stock in Waseca,
Right.
churn that a little bit.
Right. And I look at it as a turning of a page for those people. That's you're maybe selling it to somebody that's going to make those same memories in
Mm-hmm.
the house. I mean, that's when you think of it that way, that's kind of cool. And now if you're a little bit older and you are living in that one level, well, maybe it's time for your children to start taking over.
Yes, absolutely.
Just because you've done it in the past doesn't mean that you can have to continue to do that,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's a good point of, your kids ran through your house and made great memories. It's time for some other kids to run through that house and make new memories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. Jodie, before we wrap up, when you were 17 and you had no kids and before reality set in life, what did you envision yourself doing? What did you think you were going to do for a living? Now, I knew you when you were 17, so keep that in mind.
Oh, I wasn't that bad.
No, you weren't.
Yeah.
You were great.
I honestly had no idea. I thought that I would do something in business marketing and something of that nature. I never expected to get here.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was that, I'd always kind of had an interest in it, and I'd always thought homes were interesting. And quite frankly, one day I just kind of had a bad day at work, and I said, you know what? think I'm going to do that. You okay with that? You think I think I'm just going to go take some real estate classes. And I was like, sure, go ahead. So within a few weeks, I was enrolled in real estate classes and driving up to Kaplan. And here we are 12 years later.
I love it. I love it because if there's any high schoolers watching this, and I think Miss Schumacher's class, they watch these podcasts, just because you're 17 and you don't know what you want to do today, doesn't matter. You can figure it out.
Right.
You don't have to know what you want to do today.
Right. And just because you go down one lane doesn't mean that you can't change and pick a different lane 2 years from now. I mean, I don't know what my future is. I think I'll be in real estate for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
God willing, people want to still continue to work with me. I mean, I'm beyond blessed. I cannot imagine that people have allowed me to help them with the purchase and sale of one of the biggest investments in their entire life. I'm so completely blessed.
It is a huge investment, probably the biggest purchase anybody makes in their life. So yes, you should.
For most people, it is.
Yep, absolutely. I don't know of a bigger purchase that I'll ever make in my life besides my home. So you should consider yourself very fortunate that people trust you with that, and they continue to trust you with that and refer you to other people. I think that realtors have a more important job than people realize, and maybe even realtors realize sometimes. Congratulations to the business you've built for yourself, Jodie. It's very commendable that you started from not making a sale your entire first year to the success you've grown into a little over a decade. I mean, really, really awesome work. Truly, you should be really proud of yourself.
Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome. Thank you to our sponsors, Bird's Eye Foods and Itron. If without them, we could not tell the big stories of our small town. And thank you to our production team, Small Town Media and Production. Join us next time for another episode of Waseca Small Town Big Stories.